Hello, everybody. Again, this is Nico from CODA Communications with another CODA vlog. This time, I thought I would talk about 10 funny things about growing up as a CODA. Yes, that is the title I am going with. Let's get started. Number one, not being able to eat when I was interpreting for my friend or girlfriend and my family at dinner. I would bring home friends from school to study or girlfriends from wherever I found them. And of course, they were all hearing. Should have brought home a deaf girlfriend instead. Maybe that might have made things a little easier. Anyway, a little too late for that now. So, of course, my parents would be very, very curious about, for example, my new girlfriend and ask her all sorts of questions. But of course, my girlfriend did not know how to sign or did not know enough. And so, therefore, as the CODA, the responsibility would fall to me. And as I interpreted their very riveting and interesting conversation, my sisters would finish their food and get up. My parents would eventually finish their food and get up. And even my girlfriend would be done. And my food would be sitting there on my plate, stone cold. I learned to befriend the microwave in these circumstances. So then, if my girlfriend and I wanted to do anything, like go out to the movies or on a date somewhere after dinner, she would have to wait for me to heat my food back up and wolf it down. Okay, hilarious. Number two, still having to sneak around quietly at night because vibrations can still wake my parents up. Yes, they are deaf. No, they cannot hear. However, I'm not sure how true that saying is or that conventional wisdom is that if you lose one sense, all the others get stronger. But it must have held true for this situation because if I so much as like closed a door a little too hard, my dad across the house would feel it through the floor, come out and say, "Hey, cut it out, go to bed." So that made getting a midnight snack a little bit more difficult, or having friends over really late rather difficult because they can feel it through the floor. It's true. Anyway, number three, you can hear your parents' music cranked up to full volume on their headphones, and this was always kind of funny and interesting. Um, my mom is super into '80s music, for example, like Howard Jones and Cyndi Lauper and so on. I could be anywhere in the house. I could have the door closed. I could have music playing on my computer and I would still hear her music. Those were some powerful headphones that she had because I could pick out the individual words and even like kind of let my mind wander and sing along. Girls just wanna have fun. Oh God, I can hear that all the way down here. It's true. And my dad also did the same thing, and you could just hear whatever he's listening to anywhere in the house, and it's just like, oh, you're really listening to that again. Okay, that's cool. I mean, we're all obsessed with that one song or one band. All right, number four, having to go get my dad because he walked around the corner and cannot hear anyone calling after him, namely my mom. If she was trying to get his attention and he maybe like just didn't see it, he would turn the corner, go into the hallway out of the living room, and she would stomp her foot, she would wave, she would yell because my dad is hard of hearing and not completely deaf, but however, once he's out of range and that range is not very far, you're done. You have to you have to actually go chase him down and tap him on the shoulder. And I cannot tell you how many times I had to do this. And my mom would just go like, "Nico, your dad is deaf. Go get him. I'm not done." So you're not just an interpreter. You're also a messenger boy or girl. All right, number five, describing how people sound on the phone when interpreting a phone call. I mean, this is a pretty common experience for CODAs, having to interpret on the phone with customer service representatives or maybe people from work. And for my dad, he would call his boss at times to, ask about shifts or about like something that might be happening after work or whatever. And I would interpret that conversation, and my dad would be like, "So, hey, what did he sound like?" And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. Yeah, he has a very, very thick Southern drawl. I grew up in the South, and he's just like, can you like talk like that? Can you like say something that he said? And I'd just be like, yeah. And then I would like really have to exaggerate it on my lips and just go like, see you at work for see you at work. And then he'd just be like, wow, that's cool. And that would happen pretty often because they're just curious, and explaining accents was also pretty funny in general. This was something I also did at my old video relay interpreting job. And they're always just, deaf people are always very curious as to how hearing people sound. And it's a very interesting kind of challenge to explain that. Accents are fun. Yeah, yeah. Number 6, not being able to get away with whispering under my breath because my parents are expert lip readers. Now, this doesn't mean that all deaf people lip read. However, if they can and if they do, they are scarily accurate. I mean, deaf people are visually oriented. They can catch nuances in facial expression, signs, eye gaze. All of this is true. And if you twitch your lips a little bit, they'll be watching. You could be doing a mouth morphine. They'll catch that. So you had to make sure that you were completely fully turned around or not in the same room. Or just learn to keep your thoughts inside your own head until at least you're not in the same room as your parents if you want to say something that they won't see. You think you can whisper it? Think again. Number 7. Flashing lights are your alarm clock when you have to wake up for school. I had a really cool alarm clock when I was in middle school that was like a CD player, and you could choose which track it would play to wake you up. I would put on Lord of the Rings music or Star Wars or Indiana Jones or something, depending on my mood, like the night before. However, sometimes like the bus would come earlier or come later, but all the same, my mom wanted us out of the house. I mean, I guess wouldn't you if you were a parent? So she would flip the lights on and off. I used to live downstairs, and it would just wake me up. And like in any other circumstance, I guess that would be like super annoying or scary, maybe for some people, maybe too overstimulating. But for me, it was just normal, mildly irritating. But it's just like, well, I mean, like I'm a light sleeper, so of course, like a flashing light is going to wake me up, and at that point, there's no going back to sleep. You have no choice. Okay, number 8. If your parents can bang on things to get your attention because you're hearing and they know you can hear them, you can also stomp on the floor to get theirs. Remember what I talked about with having to sneak around very quietly at night so as not to vibrate them out of sleep. You can go completely in the opposite direction and bang stomp your foot on the floor to get their attention. And they really don't like it when you tell them, "Hey, you slapped the wall to like make me look at you, so can I not do this as well?" Sometimes they may not have a response to that, and you've got their attention. So success, good job. Number 9. Sharing a TV can be a problem, especially if the video phone is hooked up to the same TV as your game system. Rest in peace. Yes, I had my PlayStation 2 and my Nintendo GameCube hooked up to the same TV that my mom used the video phone on. And if that thing flashed and rang, your game was done, and there was no telling. Um, when you would be able to get back to it. So you better be fast on that pause button and good at saving the game. And if you can't save whenever you want and you have to wait for checkpoints, maybe just, I don't know, like switch the video, pause the thing, and hope that it doesn't get turned off or bumped into, or your sister, hoping your sister doesn't just grab it and start playing on her own. Totally uh, not a thing that happened, I swear. And finally, number 10. If your parents don't want to listen to your arguments with your siblings, all they have to do is turn off their hearing aids. Yes, I had two sisters. One was hearing, one was deaf. And my deaf sister is, I mean, I'm the oldest. My deaf sister is the next oldest, and then my hearing sister is the youngest. And we all did talk with our mouths with each other, as well as signing. There was a lot of simcom going on, and we would argue quite a lot, as siblings do. And this is something I like to pull out to, like a CODA story that I like to use to make people laugh, because it is true. It did happen fairly often, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna stop voicing this part, and I'm just going to show you what this looked like. Yeah, you see, that's how it went. So, those are 10 hilarious things that you experience as a CODA growing up. I'm sure I will think of more later. If, of course, this does anything remotely representing numbers. um, Thanks for watching. Thanks for laughing if you do. And please like and subscribe. See you next time when I have more ideas.